Well, hi guys, I'm Geraint. Welcome to my channel, Dark Sky Photography. I'm here at the south-western tip of Anglesey in North Wales in a place called Newborough Warren. And Newborough Warren is one of the largest sand dune systems in Britain and also a place where you can access Llanddwyn Island. And Llanddwyn Island is also known as the Church of St Dwynwen. And St Dwynwen is the Welsh patron saint of lovers, and that's celebrated at the end of January. So what I plan to do this evening is head on to the island, which is tidal, so you can get cut off at high tide, so I don't want to do that. You have to be a bit careful, but on the island you have some pretty interesting features such as St Dwynwen's church. Visible remains date back to 15th, 16th century, so that's worth a shot here. We also have a couple of big crosses, one which is Celtic in design, and we also have the row of pilot cottages which housed the navigators of the Menai Straits. So they brought in ships and docked at Beaumaris and Menai Bridge safely. And we also have the big lighthouse which marks the entrance to Menai Straits, and there's also a smaller lighthouse as well. You know, they're not big light beam houses, they're more like beacons. And so there's some decent features on the Isle of Llanddwyn which I want to do some justice to this evening and incorporate this beautiful night sky as part of the Astro landscape as well. This evening it's looking pretty good. We have the constellation of Orion behind me. We also have Cassiopeia, we have the Big Dipper, and we have the winter Milky Way, which should arc quite nicely around 3 in the morning. Around the winter Milky Way we've got some nebula such as the California Nebula, the Cygnus Region Nebula where the North America and Pelican is, and we also have the Andromeda Galaxy. The winter hexagon and winter triangle, they're asterisms created by a grouping of prominent stars, so I'll try and incorporate that into some of my astro shots tonight. And of course the constellation Orion has many nebula, Horsehead, the Flame, to name but just a couple. And so there's quite a few night compositions which I want to get here, and I want to incorporate features from Isle of Llanddwyn into those astro landscapes too. And so I'm going to head up the beach now and try and get onto the island before I get cut off by the tide. And so stay with me and see if you want to see what I get up to on this little astro adventure I have in mind this evening. So let's go. Amazing. Wow, look, the dunes, they come and encroach right upon the trees and bury them right up. And in the storm we had recently, Storm Dara, I think some more trees have been buried by the sand here. It's a real good place for dunes, and wow, so much sand. That's my destination behind me along that big, beautiful sandy beach. Well, it took me about 20 minutes to walk all the way up to Llanddwyn Island there, and yeah, really looking forward to this decent, nice walk at night when there's not much wind for a change. So, beautiful night for doing this. Yeah. Oh wow, this beach is so sick. Can't believe how wide and sandy and how calm the night is so far. What a great place to be. Just look at it. Well, I made it to the top of the beach and I'm on the land bridge connecting the island of Llanddwyn to the Newborough Warren. We have lots of moonlight still up there and I'll make use of that. It'll light up the foreground features pretty decently for me. And when it sets a bit more, I'll work on the night shots. So at the moment it's dry, no seas come in and shouldn't do for another 3 hours. So I'm time limited, I don't want to be stranded here. So let's go out on the island now and do some shots. Hi, so here we are at our first composition. Behind me we have the ruins of St Dwynwen's church, and above the church, handily placed in the night sky, is the Orion constellation. And so yeah, this is going to be a shot and I'll start on this shortly. If you hear any neighing in the background, it's because the Isle of Llanddwyn also has some wild horses, so let's hope we don't meet those. Anyway, let's crack on with the first composition here. So I'm using a 50mm lens just to bring out the foreground detail better and get a bit closer to us, and in the background you might be able to see one of the crosses and the great tower lighthouse, which we'll get close to later on. And so I'll try f2 ISO 1600, 45 seconds for the foreground. I'll drop it down to 30 seconds. So yeah, ISO 1600, 30-second exposure on f2. And that's long on f2, show the foreground detail pretty nicely on this church. Okay, So we'll soon start on the night sky shots as the moon is just starting to set now. So let's go to another foreground location. The Celtic cross of Llanddwyn Island. Nicely positioned under Orion too. I think another shot coming up. We use the 24mm lens this time, so we can fit everything in. It's the Rockinon f1.8 lens. Same setting as before, ISO 1600, 30 seconds, and I'll do one shot of the cross, and then I'll go up and do a shot of Orion as well. With that exposure, I'm going to increase the ISO to 3200 because I'm not using a star tracker yet, and I'll use f2.8 should be okay, maybe f2. Okay, foreground shot. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Now we'll just focus on the stars and I'll do a shot of the Orion constellation above this Celtic cross. Too bright, but I did have it for 30 seconds. I'm going to reduce the exposure down so I don't get any star trailing. Okay, so I'm going to use a 2-second timer to avoid vibration when the shot takes. 15 seconds on ISO 2500, and I'll do 2 panels of the sky, blend them into the foreground I took earlier. Okay, so here we are at the cottages. This little row occupied by the navigators of the Malay Straits many years ago, and I think they're just craft shops now. But this is another good composition to capture, again with the winter hexagon and winter triangle in the night sky above the roofs of these little cottages. I'm using 24mm lens. Cool. The Canon 6D, and I'm doing ISO 1600 with a 30-second exposure at f2. And the little light from the camera there helps to illuminate the ground, so the exposure should be pretty good. Cool. And there's Galedi Tirmawr, which stands for large light tower in English, with a moon setting just behind it now. I'm just going to start on my sky shots, and I'm going to use a tracker. Gorgeous. So it's time for the star tracker. I'm just going to make sure the tripod's level. Got this little handy level button here. Which is magnetic and sits on top of the screw. That's pretty level. This is the wedge for the move, shoot, move. Can have a breeze on now. And this is on a rotating platform, so I don't have to mess with these little dials. So I can just quickly rotate it to the North Star. So I'm just getting the laser pointer, put it in the receptacle here, and hopefully the laser will work nice and we can point it at the North Star. I'll just move it into roughly where it should be. Just rotate it around. Up there. The wedge is already angled to where the correct latitude should be at 53 degrees. Now we'll switch the laser pointer on and see if I'm in the right direction. Wow, very close. Really close to the North Star. I'll just center on it and then we're all set to put the camera on and take some sky shots. Bang on. And so with the move, shoot, move, I also got the Alan Wallace V wedge. We'll put this wee ball head onto the V plate, make sure the V plate is level, attach this, and then we can do our sky shots. And I'll just rotate the ball head to make sure we get overlap, and we'll do a bit of a panorama. We'll do 2 or 3 columns and a couple of rows, and we'll try and get all the Orion constellation and the winter hexagon on. And so using a star tracker, I will also be able to do a longer exposure, especially now that the moon is set, and so I can get good detail of the night sky. So doing the night shots, and I'm going to do a panorama of the Orion area and the winter hexagon, and we're using ISO 1600 with a time of 45 seconds on the move, shoot, move star tracker here, and an focal length or focal f-stop of 4 I think I'm using. We'll see what we get on, but I'll probably do 3 columns and 2 rows, and I'll do at least 3 exposures for each panel to try and bring some detail out of the nebula in the Orion area. And so yeah, I'm getting a bit worried about the tide though, because the moon's set, it's 3 in the morning, and I know tide comes in at 5:30. Yeah, I like that exposure. The stars look pretty much pinpoint, and so I'll keep this going. I'll do about five shots each panel, so any rejects I can cope with. There'll be room for redundancy on this image sequence in that manner. And then yeah, I'll need to move over to my next composition, which will be the main Great Light Tower and St Dwynwen's Cross, which is over there. So I'll just do the night shots and then we'll head across. Absolutely gorgeous seeing the great lighthouse of Llanddwyn Island with Orion to the left of it. And that sea, the Irish Sea, goes all the way down to Brazil, the Southern American continent. So not much light pollution down that way. Fantastic. Wow, what a night here on Llanddwyn Island. I'm now here at St Dwynwen's Cross, and in the background we've got the Great Lighthouse Tower. And so this is one of the last compositions I'm doing, because I'm pretty sure the tide is about to cut me off. But we'll do a few shots here of the cross and St Dwynwen's Cross of that, with the lighthouse behind it. And yeah, well, the night sky is still looking wonderful, and it's not too cold, not much wind, and so yeah, I've been pretty lucky tonight, apart from probably having to stay in the island a bit longer than I would have envisioned because of the tide. But hey up, I don't have to rush back to work at least, so I can have a bit of an hour when I get home. But yeah, a wonderful night in Llanddwyn. Got some pretty good shots. I did a really good panorama of the Milky Way arc, the winter circle, or the winter hexagon even. And yeah, it's going to meld pretty nicely with the landscape shot I also got with it. And so yeah, good night. And so yeah, not much left to do, I don't think, and so I'll just crack on with what I'm doing here. Yeah, exposure I'm using here is 1 minute, f2.8 I think, at ISO 1600, and so I'll just do a couple of columns here just to widen the cross and to get the great tower in the background with plenty of space either side, so I can crop in if I want. And then I'll bring in my night sky, which I took earlier, and so it just makes it easy to blend the stars and the constellation of Orion above the tower where it was earlier. Ha, cool. Did you see that shooting star then? Yeah, I think there's another composition up there, and so we'll go up to St Dwynwen's Cross and see if we can incorporate that into the great light beacon behind the camera that's facing me. And so yeah, another composition coming up for you guys. No one's in this evening, but place to myself. I don't mind. So folks, I just got the 135mm out of the Samyang. I'm just doing some close-up of M45 Pleiades, and it's just something different to add to the 24mm and 50mm focal length sky shots that I've got tonight. And so I might blend it with some aspect of a foreground on this island. We'll see. Okay, let's see what other compositions I can go for. Yes, current shooting with the Samyang 135. I'm on Cassiopeia, and I'm doing a couple of panels to fit it all into a nice constellation, and that should fit quite nicely on one of my compositions I got in mind. I just need to get the foreground shortly, but yeah, Cassiopeia is quite low now on the horizon. It's late at night, but the stars are looking good with the Samyang, especially that it's on the move star tracker, and it's holding its accuracy pretty well, so I'm quite chuffed. I'm using an exposure length of 30 seconds, but I did do 60 seconds on Pleiades, and they were pretty decent, if not a bit bright. I'm using f2 and ISO 1600, so let's see how this fits above a nice bit of foreground. So I think I've got something in mind back to the cottages, because they are down there and Cassiopeia is opposite direction, so they're going to sit nicely on top of each other. So we'll blend that composition in, and we'll add it to the others. Brilliant. Well, that's a marvellous sight of the great tower lighthouse of Llanddwyn, Llanddwyn Island behind me, and they're a really good night. I've taken some compositions of the landmarks on this island, and I've mixed them up with various constellations and nebula of the night sky using a 50mm lens, a 24mm, and even the 135mm Samyang. Sun is starting to rise within the next hour, so it brings an end to my Astro night tonight. The tide did come in and cut me off anyway, so I can't get off the island for another 30 minutes, which I don't mind. It's been a great night here on the island, and so I hope you enjoyed my vlog tonight and you liked my Astro journey through the Newborough Warren onto the beach and onto this beautiful island off the southwesternmost tip of Anglesey, and a backdrop of Snowdonia and the Llyn Peninsula. You can't beat it, it's beautiful. So if you enjoy my vlog, give me the thumbs up, subscribe if you want, and if you go out to enjoy the night sky, make sure you stay safe and I wish you good weather. And now I'm going to show you my compositions I got this evening. I hope you enjoy, and I hope to see you again. Take care. Time for home.